Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome or welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. Today is July 11th, and here in Massachusetts, where I live, it's hot and sticky outside. So I'm looking forward to staying inside in the air conditioning and reading. And luckily for me, today is our weekly Free Friday report, and I've got 5 best-selling sci-fi and fantasy books which are currently free. Act fast to grab them before the publishers and the authors, make them cost money again. And one of those books is by New York Times bestselling author. So these are great books. We read the first few chapters of these books for you and tell you what you think, because we want to get the reviews out before the book stops being free. Today's list includes several dystopian futures, romantasy, and as I mentioned, one of the authors is a New York Times bestselling author. So before we get to that, this is MetaStellar. We are an online magazine of science fiction and fantasy, and we've published more than 1,500 stories. There's free stories going up every week on our website, science fiction, fantasy, and horror. We publish books. We do so much. So definitely check out our website. Our newsletter link is in the description box below. And we've got dozens of volunteers. And today, E.S. Foster and N.C. Novatovsky helped out with the reviews, but unfortunately, neither one of them could make it here today, so it's just going to be me. Also, I want to thank Nat Couture for her excellent work this week and over the past few weeks. She's the one who does all the links and the prices and all the organizational stuff that makes Free Friday happen. She is awesome, and she's also a fantastic artist. You'll hear more about that in future weeks. So let's get to the books. We're going to start with book number 5, and then we're going to count down to book number 1. So book number 5 is called The Mechanic. It's by Jon Austin. It's part of the Taylor Valery novel, dystopian sci-fi series. It's the author's first time on our Free Friday list, and it's currently the only book in the series. And I also haven't been able to find any other books by this author out there. But if this is his first book, it is a very, very strong start. So it's set 10 years in the future, and it was supposed to have AIs in it. So I got all excited because I write about AI in my day job. And so that's a kind of double-headed crocodile. I don't know. Because sometimes when you read a book that's about a topic you know well, you start to nitpick everything. Or another times you're like, oh, this is so cool. It's all about my favorite thing, right? So, so I was kind of like nervous about which way this book was going to go. And the author knows his stuff. So there is a lot of info dumping in the first chapter about corporate and governmental and AI systems and how they actually work. And the author knows how they work. He knows what predictive analytics is. Nobody knows what predictive analytics is, and he does. So predictive analytics is when you use AI to predict when, like, say, an airplane part is likely to fail. All big companies use this, especially if they have any kind of expensive equipment. And the version of AI that uses this is called machine learning. Anyway, a huge deal in a corporate space. And not too many people know about it outside of enterprise AI. So very impressed. Anyway, our protagonist's name is Marshall, and he's an airplane mechanic. He's working on an airplane. He's got some kind of weird, like, augmented reality suit that he's wearing to help him with all the mechanical stuff. And people are like watching what he's doing and supervising him really closely, and they can take over if he does something wrong, which he won't because he's been a mechanic for decades. He knows everything, but his career is kind of stalled out. So people kind of stop listening to him. So anyway, he finds that something is off in the airplane as it's about to head off on its flight. And he wants to take more time for the safety inspection. And everyone's like, no, we're losing money. We got to get this airplane going. And he's like, no, there's something off. And his supervisor is like, well, the AI isn't showing anything off. The predictive analytics aren't showing that anything is off. I don't see anything off. He's like, no, no, there's just something there. And he goes back and he takes another look, and there's a really subtle electrical fault somewhere that only shows up very, very intermittently. Anyway, he convinces his supervisor that they should halt the plane and figure out what's going on. It's a really unusual case that hasn't come up before. So it could be something dangerous, or it could be nothing at all, and they could be wasting thousands of dollars as the airplane goes through its whole inspection. Then in the next chapter, we're with a woman named Shep, who's also in the opening chapter. She's the one who decided to approve Marshall's request for a delay. She's really worried there was a false alarm, and if it is, she might be reprimanded, demoted, or even fired. And while she waits, she checks Marshall's personnel file, and we learn that he's had tons of recognition for his work as a mechanic, repeatedly offered promotions that he turned down, and then 15 years ago, all the accolades came to a halt. And was he starting to phone it in, or did something happen in his life? We don't know. And as of yet, we haven't found out, or I haven't. Maybe I missed it. We also get some backstory about Shep's personal life and the problems she was having with her girlfriend. She's also been in the military. She lost both her legs to an IED just above the knees. And she spends her time either working or playing video games. And her girlfriend is kind of like really annoyed about this. She's like, I'm willing to work through things with you, but all you do is work and play video games. You're not working through anything, right? You've got to like put in some effort. Then we switch to a different point of view. We're in China now with a guy named Wang, who's the leader, Chinese leader, and he's in a meeting to talk about the reunification with Taiwan. So they have a plan to make it happen. They have got their hands on a Russian drone, and they plan to fill it with a variant of the COVID virus, one that is intended to make people sick but not kill them. They're going to spray it over Taiwan. Once everyone's panicking and the country goes into a lockdown, the Chinese military will launch a sea and air quarantine of Taiwan on the pretext that they're protecting the world from this new strain of the COVID virus. And with a full blockade, there'll be no food or other goods coming in, except for what the Chinese military allows in. And then they also plan to disable the island's AI management systems, which will bring all the infrastructure to a halt. So I can see a lot of ways where this can go wrong. And I do like the beginning, and I do like Shep and Marshall very much. I like the pacing. I love all the technology, the really realistic technology here, and the geopolitics also rings as if it could actually happen. And that's the problem. This whole book feels like it actually happened. I have enough worries about what's going to happen without adding more to them. I want my science fiction and fantasy to be really, really escapist. So I'm not going to be sticking with this book because it just hits too close to home. The same reason why I'm not going to read The Handmaid's Tale. I've read the first book like decades ago when it first came out, and it was cool, a creepy dystopian future. But now it's like not so cool, creepy near future, so it just hits too close. If you don't mind that, if you like being scared and creeped out and have trouble sleeping at night, then maybe this is the book for you. All right, next, let's go on to Oasis by Dima, Zales, and Anna Zaires, the first of 3 books in The Last Humans, a young adult dystopian future series. The other books are $4 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. And both of these authors are New York Times and USA Today bestselling authors. So let me tell you about Kindle Unlimited. This is not sponsored. Kindle Unlimited is where you pay $12 a month and you read all the books you want. On the downside, you're part of the Amazon hegemony. Authors who are in Kindle Unlimited aren't allowed to sell their ebooks anywhere else. So it's kind of an enforced monopoly that Amazon has, which is frankly a little evil. But if you read a lot, $12 a month for all the books you can read, which is kind of a good deal. So I have a subscription because I read an infinite number of books. You have to make up your own mind about that. I do know that a lot of authors make the bulk of their income from Kindle Unlimited. So it does put money in author pockets. And Kindle, Amazon's where most ebooks are sold. So what are you going to do? Anyway, N.C. Nabertovsky read this for us, and he says that this book is set in an indeterminate time in the future, and a young boy who hears voices lives in kind of utopia where his every need is taken care of, except for the one thing everybody really needs, the truth. So, so he says that at first glance, it looks like Oasis is an interesting story about a future society that's kind of constructed, not like organically involved. And he would have preferred it if the writer had taken this idea and teased out little bits of the secret over the course of the book with a big revelation at the end. But instead, everything's just kind of explained to the reader, and for him, it took the fun out of it. And so we're not going to explain it to you, so we don't ruin the book for you. Our reviewer was also annoyed by marriage being defined as between a man and a woman, and a few other things like that. And then the main character also talks about how they can't possibly understand the idea of a family and living with people of different ages, which kind of also confused him and struck him as a little off. And he said there were a few parts of the story felt a little gimmicky. But he says that the book could resonate with people who like dystopian and post-apocalyptic kind of stuff. He feels it's aimed more at the middle grade to early teen demographic, although there is a little bit of harsh language, and you can't beat it for the price. And like I said, the authors are New York Times and USA Today bestsellers, so people do like that. All right, next we have something completely different, like as opposite as you can get from these two dystopias. We're going to go back in time to fantasy time for Alice the Dagger by Ashley McLeo, the first of two books in the Wonderland Court series of romantic fantasy, aka a romantasy. The other book is $8 and it's not in Kindle Unlimited, and the author has been on our list before. So I do not like romantasy. I do not like retellings of classic fairy tales. And this book is a new take on Alice in Wonderland. But I do have to say that it is a fun read. So Alice is an assassin, my kind of person, and a demi-fae. And the book starts out with her scaling 4 stories, squeezing herself through a window barely bigger than a doggy door for a chihuahua. And she's there to kill a shifter mafia leader with a poison dagger. But of course, the job goes sour. She's caught. And I'm not going to tell you what happens next because I don't want to give stuff away. Oh, I remember this. Hold on, because we reviewed this before. I think I've read the whole. Yeah. So anyway, so it's not set in the past. It's set in the present day LA. She works as for a vampire. She knows him. She's old enough to get out from under the vampire's thumb. She's on her way to see the Empire when she meets a talking rabbit who tells her that the mercenaries have been sent after her and she must leave right away. And it turns out her parents hired the vampire to raise her safely in hiding. He wasn't supposed to turn her into an assassin. They were rebel leaders in Wonderland, and now the rabbit is here to take her back. So I love the fact that Alice is an assassin. Also, she's got wings and magical powers. And like I said, I don't usually like fairy tale retellings of teenagers, but I think I stuck with this book. I think I read both of them. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. We do so many of these books. Oh, a couple of weeks ago, I read the like the first book in a series of a space opera, and I was like, oh, this is really great, but it's like in the middle of so the series felt like there was a prequel series, which there was, the Forever series. So I went back, and it turned out that I actually had read the first book in the Forever series for Free Friday, like a couple of years back, but never went back to it. So I have just read all 6 books of the series that I came across like a week or two ago. And then I'm almost done with the first prequel series, which was another 6 books. And now I'm about to read the next 2 series, which is 12 more books. I'm about to read 24 books in a row set in the single space opera universe. Anyway, that's because I have a lot of deadlines at work. And yeah, that's how I avoid doing actual work. Anyway, so recommend this, a fun read. Next, we have Rescuer's Reward by Joe Vasicek, the first of 4 books in a Sea Mage cycle, another romantasy series. The other books are $5 each, and they're not in Kindle Unlimited. The author, again, has been on our Free Friday list before, and E.S. Foster read this for us, and she says that this book is all about ships on the high seas, treasure, rescuing princesses, and she was all in right from the start. So the story begins in a bustling market beside the sea. So finally, something that's set in the past, which I guess you can tell because of the wings, because of the sails on the ship. So it starts out in a bustling market beside the sea. Jason, the captain of a ship, saunters through the market, greeting people, buying from merchants. At one point, he buys a dress, though he doesn't really have the money for all this. And a young boy tries to pick the last of his coins from his pocket, but Jason catches him. And instead of getting angry, he asks the boy to join his crew, and the boy agrees. Jason returns to his ship in time to meet one of his many creditors. They've been looking for him. So yeah, he doesn't have the money to be spending on things. He's deeply in debt, but he's positive that the next job he's got will get him out of debt. And the creditors warn him that he doesn't have much time left and leaves. And one of his first mates tells him about a few jobs they can take. But Jason says, oh no, we have to spend money to make money. And he's like holding out for exactly the perfect job. And then we switch points of view. We're with Julieta, who's the princess of the kingdom. She's about to be married to a prince from a neighboring kingdom, even though she's never met him. And this alliance will help the kingdom out in terms of trade and expanding military. She's not too thrilled about all this, but she attends a fitting for her wedding gown and then goes to meet with her father, who's the king. And he's explaining to the councilman present how the alliance will be good for everybody. Julieta has a few concerns, like she's got no idea what the prince is like, and will she have to leave forever? And her father gives her a magic stone that will allow her to contact and talk to him whenever she misses him. So she's pretty sad about all this, but she prepares to leave and gets on a ship headed for the other kingdom. So Emma says she was really enjoying the beginning of the story, and it was very reminiscent of fantasy that she read in middle school. And she doesn't mind all the fantasy tropes that the book is hitting. She liked both Jason and Julieta's characters, wanted to see what happens to them, and recommends this book for people who like fantasy and fairy tales. And I mean, I don't like romantasy, but I do like the setting. Also, I cheated and I looked up the description of the book. And it sounds like Julieta is going to disappear, and there's going to be a bounty to find her. And Jason is going to go after this bounty. He's going to try to rescue the princess, which is awesome. I mean, I like that. That's totally the kind of escapist fantasy I like to read. Before we go on to book number 1, which is a very different kind of dystopia. But also very, very readable. I want to give thanks to our Patreon supporters. So MetaStellar, like I mentioned, has dozens of volunteers. All of us editors work for free. We're unpaid. All the money that's raised via Patreon and the YouTube subscriptions goes to pay for original fiction to actual human science fiction authors. We don't have AI content on our website. We also have stopped using AI generated images and are trying to remove all the old ones from the website. It's kind of hard because it's yeah, like Pixabay and stuff is flooded with AI images right now. So it's kind of hard to be disciplined about it, but we're trying. And the money raised also goes to pay for like the printing costs and stuff like that. So we serialized Gods and Monsters last year, and we published it early this year. So it's still available for free on our website, or you can buy the book and print it in electronic form. It is on the Nebula Award reading list for 2025, right next to John Scalzi and other like huge big name authors. This is so amazing. It doesn't mean that it's a finalist for the award, but it does mean that it's on a very short list of books that they're recommending people read when they're choosing finalists for the awards, which will be announced early next year. So we're very excited about this. And it's also on a reading list for another major award, which I'm not allowed to name right now, but trust me, it's a big one. And we're very excited. This is an awesome, awesome book. Literary, has vampires, it has magic, it has mysticism. It's weird and it's literary, and it's just a really, really cool book about like what it means to be human and stuff like that. So definitely worth a read. And like I said, it's free on our website and on our YouTube channel. The author reads the book out loud, and the cover here, she hand painted it because she's also an award-winning artist. I know, right? This is really, really cool. We're currently serializing another book, RENNA'S Crossing, which is a young adult fantasy. Beautiful writing, just like lovely, lovely writing. And we also have anthologies that we publish. We have 3 anthologies right now. We're working on our 4th, which should be available within the next couple of months. So we're doing a lot of stuff, and we're doing it because of you guys for supporting us. Thank you so much. And something for free that you can do to support us if you don't want to become a patron or join the channel is you can subscribe to the channel, which is free. And we're getting close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, which means that we will finally be monetized. And again, all the money raised will go to paying real science fiction and fantasy authors for real original fiction. All right, let's get to book number 1 on today's list, which is Recon by Tarah Benner, the first of 5 books in The Fringe, a dystopian sci-fi adventure series. The other books are $5 to $6 each, and they are in Kindle Unlimited. And the author has been on our list before. So I read this one, and I'm like, no, another dystopian future. But this one is more escapist. It's set further into the future, and it doesn't feel like too on the nose, like oh, this could happen tomorrow. So there's been a nuclear war, and there's still a lot of problems with the atmosphere and the ecosystem, and people are living underground in these tunnels, and there's a whole complex society about how to survive in this world. And there's a few people who go out to Recon to see what's going out there, and there's other people out there too, like beyond the compound, and then they have to protect the compound from them. And so these are the people who go on Recon. So Eli is one of those people. So the book opens with him in an illegal fight with somebody bigger and totally different weight class than him. But if the other guy is injured enough, he'll be excused from duty for a month, which in Recon means 1 less deployment. So Eli has to make it count because he's fighting against one of his best friends. So he wants the friend to get time off. They want the fight to look good. So they kind of go all out. And Eli wins the fight, even though he's smaller, because he's a good fighter. And he does some serious damage to his friend, who winds up being taken to the hospital so he can get some time off. And Eli connects his award money, which he then splits with his friend. And then while he's waiting in the hospital, we learn about the backstory of this world, about all the nuclear attacks that leveled most of the country, and about the fact that the survivors are now living in this compound. In the next chapter, we switch point of view to a woman named Harper, She's hasn't started her career yet. So she's just finishing up her studies, and she was the best programmer in her year. And she's hoping to get a job in systems so she can write code. And she and her friend are taking an elevator down to the deepest underground tunnels where there's sex and drugs and people partying. And the two of them are there to get their friend, who's completely wasted, find him and drag him back out, even though he doesn't want to go. He wants to stay and party. There's a big work ceremony coming up related to their new jobs, and they have to be there. This is kind of really important to their careers. So that's kind of like a young adult kind of a feel to it because they're just starting out in their careers. So I did like the story. I like the setting. It's creepy, but the characters are interesting. The pace of the story is brisk. It reads very well. I mean, it really sucks you in. And I don't usually like to read dystopian fiction, but this is far enough removed from like daily life that it feels more escapist. And so I might stick with it, except for the fact that I have two space opera series to get through because I'm now compelled to finish it. And so yeah, once I read those 12 books, I might come back to this one. But it's just the way my brain works. I get caught up in a story, and I also have a really really bad memory for characters. So once I learn who the people are, I kind of want to stick with them for a while because I remember their names, and if I start a brand new book, I have to learn all these people names from the beginning. So yeah, yeah. But anyway, but this is a good book. I'm gonna keep it on my Kindle to read list. So it's there when I do look for my next read. All right, so that was it for today's books. I hope you like some of them. Let me know if you like dystopian fiction or if you like fantasy or romantasy. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all next week. I'm gonna put some links up above to where Geordie Morse is interviewed about RENNA'S Crossing and where he reads the first installment of the book, because he also reads the entire book for us here on the MetaStellar YouTube channel, and you can listen to it. All right, well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining me, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye.